Thank you, Dr. Milton. Brings us to our public participation part of our agenda. And we'll read we have quite a few people signed up, so I'm going to read parts of what's printed in our agenda and part of our board policy on public participation. The board welcomes and encourages public participation. We ask that you adhere to the procedures and the forum provided in board policy, BEDH, public participation at meetings. The comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and Dr. Harris, sitting to my right, will keep you on time. He has a time sheet that he holds up to let you know what time is remaining. Questions asked during public participation will be handled in accordance with board policy BEDH. I would also remind you that board values and encourages the community's involvement. Public participation at board meetings is one of the many ways the community can ask questions. The board encourages citizens of the community to appear, bring before the board any matter directed toward the improvement of the school system and the agenda of the board. I also remind the people speaking that the members of the board are without the authority to act independently as individuals in the official matters. Thus, questions that may be directed to the board or a particular board member, but answers must be deferred depending upon consideration by the entire board and the staff of the school district. Asking a question for a board member or staff to interpret the will or the mind of the board will not be addressed because that cannot be addressed. Finally, I'd like to say that asking questions that would inappropriately identify a student or family will not be addressed, and matters pertaining to protected personnel records will not be addressed. Asking questions that suggest illegal or unethical activity of a district employee or board member will not be addressed and considered inappropriate. The privilege of addressing the board does not include the ability to make a personal attack on any board member, district employee, or other member of the public. So with that, I ask you to keep those items in mind. We'll call up our person that signed up. Dr. Harris is ready to go. The first speaker is C. Connor Addy. Mr. Addy. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that the next speaker will be Judy, I believe, Kletter, and then Ms. Kim Murphy. So you all can, if you're ready. Mr. Connor, we're going to start your time now.
Good evening, and thank you everyone who is here today. Typically, school board meetings are not attended, and it fills me with pride that our district is requiring students to attend these meetings. Students, please continue to come to these meetings. You are the future, and you will be taxpayers very soon. I came to the school board meeting in November for the first time ever with a simple request. I believe that in one of the most profoundly wealthy school districts in the history of this country, we should not have substitutes making less than $60 a day. Our support staff, our educators, everyone involved in shaping the lives of our children deserve better than $9 and $10 an hour. My mother worked in Chapin Elementary for years to support my family so that I could come to the best schools. I'm grateful for the sacrifices that she made, but she certainly did not make any real money working for the school. And she directly impacted the lives of tens of thousands of students. People who today are lawyers, doctors, politicians, the whole gamut. I'm proud to be from Chapin. I'm proud to be from this district. But this board is not what made this district wonderful. What made this district wonderful was our work. Your bloated your bloated budget, rather, comes from our bloated incomes. And we're proud of it. And we have a right to say how we want that money spent. I am not opposed to the school building new schools. I believe we need new schools. But we need to build schools that hold more than 600 students. We need to build schools that are energy independent. We are reaching a time in our history where we must make drastic changes in education and how we build and how we develop our communities. No effort was put into considering the impact that building the school on Amex Ferry Road would have. We feel, most of us, that the board has forgotten its purpose. We trust you with our money and with our children. We don't trust the secrecy, and we don't trust a district who will pat itself on the back while the people who do the hardest jobs in our schools can't afford to live in our district. Thank you so much for allowing me the time to speak today. Thank you, Chairman Gant.
Judy Kletter,
Letter with the K.
Kletter, Letter. Mr. Murphy will be next, and then Ms. Susan Baker.
I'm not used to this, but I have two grandsons in school, so, and I want to know that in the committees you talked about, one of my grandsons is going to be evaluated for special needs, and the other grandchild has the 2H language science and fencing. He's in that other class. So, and they're doing very well. And they moved here from Florida because of the special need child. Every time they would say goodbye to us, I cried, they cried. So I said, if you come to Chapin, because we retired here from New York because we were involved in 9/11, we lived in New York City. So we left there, and I said, if you come to Chapin, I will help in your child there. So I'm at a board meeting, who knew?
I'm proud of you.
And you don't look hostile, so I'm a little nervous. The only person I know in this room was Al Gates, who is the principal now. I served on 2 committees with him, and he was my first intro to the schools, and he begged me to continue, but after, I was involved in sex education. That was the first committee I was on when I moved here, because they wanted to pass a program worth the wait, and that was only one side of sex. And and I thought it should be open. So I'm the diversified committee of 13 people. I'm the one, the old lady. I was diversification, and anyway, it wasn't passed. The people on the committee listened. We did presentations. We didn't think it was the best interest of the school. I want for my grandchildren a secular education, a global education. So when they leave this lovely town in this wonderful state, they're going to deal with the rest of the world. Everything is not nice like it is in South Carolina. There are bad people out there. And that brings me to the schools. My other family lives in Colorado, and they've witnessed the terrorism. I'm more interested in safety. My first issue is safety. What are we doing so that people can't get into our schools? Is there anything being done at all? Is my 3 minutes up? Okay, safety. Education is number 1. Number 2 is curriculum. I just want to know when they pick and choose their courses and what the courses are. And the teachers, do you know that teachers have Amazon wish lists because they're not getting the surprise? Oh, you do know that, okay. Because I'm giving to Amazon wish lists so that the kids can have supplies. I never heard of that. I'm done, I guess.
Ms. Clay, thank you. On behalf of your grandchildren, they are proud of you. We are proud of you for speaking, and we will follow up on your concerns. You'll stick around. We're going to talk about a new school We're gonna talk about the safety issues we're gonna try to put in every school in our district, but we're especially gonna build it in the new schools when we do it. But thank you for speaking, and thank you for being here, bringing your grandchildren.
And I want to volunteer to do something. I work in suicide prevention, and I know the statistics of suicides because I've written books on the subject and given tours around the country. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Clay.
Good evening. I had a couple of questions, and I'm wondering if you might answer for me. After I was informed that teachers at Chapin High have more students per classroom than the other high schools, and that the number of students per class was higher than our board policy. I don't know whether that comment was accurate, but it prompted me to review the facilities study that was introduced this past spring to see the recommendations for Chapin. It didn't have much detail, but I was surprised to see that one of the items listed under major concerns was that the science labs are now used as classrooms. The recommendation of the study also surprised me, convert the science labs into regular classrooms. Can Chapin High afford to lose science classrooms? I thought I would also review your official 45-day enrollment, which officially is called the 45-day average daily membership, or ADM. However, I couldn't find it on the district's website where it used to be posted, but I did find it on the Department of Education's website. According to the report, the enrollment in Chapin High is just shy of 1,500 students, about 200 more than we had in 2010. If this is the case, that the enrollment is 1,500 students, and that the school is full in a way that gives teachers more students than the board policy dictates, and that science labs are having to be used as classrooms instead of being used as science labs, what is causing the school to be overcrowded? Was Chapin expanded to educate 1,700 students, as was advertised before, during, and after the 2008 bond referendum? Again, if what I had heard about the capacity issue is accurate, when the third floor of the new classroom wing was removed from the plans, is that what caused the issue? Did the removal of the floor remove 300 students worth of classrooms? I'm also a bit puzzled about the recommendation to remove science labs, which I think would be essential. Have you given any consideration to adding on to the end of that new classroom wing? It's my understanding that classrooms were part of the design so that the design could accommodate potentially classrooms in the future. Anyhow, thank you, I appreciate it.
Next, we'll hear from Susan Baker. And Mr. Donald Kinney will be next.
Good evening, Mr. Gant and board members. Good to see many of you again. I'm Susan Baker, a longtime resident and volunteer, and I'm still serving on Chapin SIC, which I've been on for about the last 10 years. Friday night, my husband and I were driving past the new elementary school site, 6:15 at night, and I was shocked to see truck lights and a cement truck pouring cement against the truck lights. I couldn't figure out why in dark of night we were doing this on Friday night. Seemed a bit unusual to me. The concern I have is that points to a lack of quality control, lack of supervision. I'm not sure what the temperature was at that point, and whether or not the cement that's getting poured at that is got the good integrity that we needed to have for our new elementary school. So, the next day, we were traveling by that same road, about 1:30 in the afternoon on Saturday. Again, there were workers out there, and I'm thinking, well, have they worked all night? Because they might have done so, I don't really know. But they're doing the work on the nights and on the weekends. It's sort of odd hours to me, And I have a concern about the overall project not being done according to specifications and with proper supervision. I kind of wonder if they're just rushing really to just get a draw. If this is a rush type situation. Is this our best for our new school to be doing it at nights and weekends? That's my question about the project. Secondly, I'm going to bring up a topic I didn't put on the form, but Chapin Middle School and Chapin High School chorus are planning to do their concerts at my church, Chapin Presbyterian, tomorrow night and Friday night. It pains me to bring it up again, the lack of an auditorium for Chapin High School and our desperate need to have one to complete our school, and that it would be a complete campus where we can have the performing arts piece on that campus rather than continuing to use our local churches. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Ms. Baker, Mr. Kinney, but I'm starting. I was going to encourage you, if you could stick around. I think your concern about the poor at the new site will be addressed, and the SAG piece addressed. But if you can stick around, that's coming up very shortly. And I'll ask our group that's here to address that. Mr. Kinney, you got your full 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Not a very good speaker, but I ask you to just humbly listen to what I need to say here. My name is Donald Kinney. I'm a representative of Fresh Church, and many of us I know have heard the saying that it always takes a village to raise a child or to raise children. And we believe in that at our church, which is a non-denominational church pastored by Dr. Greg Dowie. And we're currently just started meeting at Lake Murray Elementary School. We've also met in the past at the Cates Center and also at Oak Point Elementary. When we meet at these schools, we become part of that village. In the past, we've purchased gift cards for all of the teachers, and at Oak Point, we've handed out snow cones and cotton candy at orientation. We're currently paying the district $425 a week to meet at the facilities for about 3 to 3.5 hours, which includes, our setup and tear down in between. We're a small church of about 100 members, and we have many teachers and staff who work in Lexington Richmond 5, and a lot of community members who attend the schools, and a lot of their children who also attend the schools in Lexington Richmond 5. I personally have had 3 daughters graduate from Irmo High School. I helped tremendously with the bond referendum of the board back in the early 2000s, and served on many PTOs and SICs in a lot of the schools also. Fresh Church also has just purchased 19 acres right beside Lake Murray Elementary School, which is why we just moved from Oak Point to Lake Murray, because we're in the process, we were going to build on this 19 acres. We plan on building 3 to 5 buildings in a park-like setting with walking paths, ball fields, for the community to utilize right there, right next to Lake Murray Elementary. We just started putting up signs after purchasing the property and currently meeting at Lake Murray. We've added 6 to 7 families. We've not even made a marketing push, but of course there's about 1,000 houses within a 1 mile radius of there. And as stated, we're currently paying $425, but we've just been notified that that cost is going to go up to $1,000 a week starting January 1st. Now, $425 is about $22,000 a year. $1,000 is about $52,000 a year. As I stated, we're a small church. We can't afford that cost, and we have to move. We don't want to move because we are part of the family and part of that village. In about a year, we'll open our phase 1, a multi-purpose building right next to Lake Murray. And speaking for myself and Pastor Dowie, if Lake Murray or District 5 needs us, we will be there. We're a godly, giving, community-minded church, and we want to be part of that village. We humbly ask you to take a look at this massive raise and come up with a more reasonable increase, if you could. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Leisha Hufstetler, and then Mr. Matt Hogan.
evening, school board. I have some concerns about the cost of this, or the true cost of this new elementary school. Will we ever know what the true cost is? Does the 24 million, or whatever it ends up being, does it include the cost of the land and all the related costs? Does it include the design, this 1 million so far? Does it include the 3.6 million in the early site package that I see daily? Does it, I have this too, Exhibit D. The cost says, with this contract, it said it does not include items of work that may have been discussed in previous meetings. It says the owner is responsible for providing and paying for all the required materials and testing services and erosion control inspections. It does not include a construction waste management plan, which means those are my taxes being used for that. It does not include the coordination of drawings. It does not include the builder's risk insurance. It does not include cost for tap, water, and sewer fees. They are not, it said there that it does not include fees for relocation of existing power lines, which they did recently. Does not include the FFE outside planned specs, does not include cost of third-party or manufacturer's testing, does not include owner contingency, does not include masonry anchors to fasten brick veneer. Well, that's kind of strange. It doesn't include air and water filtration, nor interactive boards or projectors, owner-installed TV brackets, whoever Davis-Bacon wages are, does not include for that. Liquidated damages, does not include playground equipment, doesn't include any of these listed. Does it include the cost of the land, the appraisal, the surveying, the consultant fees, the environmental investigations, the soil investigations, the traffic analysis, which I have a copy of, the closing costs, attorney's fees, architects, contracts, the landscaping architects, design fees, inspections? What really is the true cost of this school? Does it include these? Because it does not include these. And these are included in the cost of the school. So, because you're dealing with my money and everybody's taxpayers' money, we would like some transparency of what the real cost of this school is going to be, because it's our money. Thank you.
Matt Hogan, and then Cynthia Hope Clark. Come on down.
Dr. Melton, Chairman Gann, distinguished members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak during your public participation. With my allowed time, I'd like to address the road abandonment process regarding the Lutheran homes and their intention to have the state abandon the Lemon Home Barn Road. Eliminating this road equates to removing a large percentage of the road access leaving Lake Brain Elementary School. With the recent changes to the intersection of Johnson Muir Road and US 76 to include multiple turn lanes, Representative Nathan Valentine discussed that the project will ultimately lead to a traffic light upon the official abandonment process of Lemon Home Barn Road. The elimination of Lemon Home Barn Road will ultimately result in closing off 33% of the access points to Lake Ray Elementary School, a school built on a peninsula with limited road access from the start. By removing Lemon Home Barn Road as a navigable roadway, I feel the safety and the well-being of our children, students, educators, and staff is being compromised. In closing, Dr. Melton, Chairman Gann, I challenge you to look at the proposed future road closures to make sure these changes that are put into our road system to benefit the Lutheran homes does not limit the safety and sacrifice of our children, educators, and staff. Thank you.
Next speaker is Cynthia Hope Clark.
Thank you. My name is Cynthia Hope Clark, and I've been a resident of this school district for 24 years. I've graduated 3 sons from these schools and have a grandson who's a kindergartner this year. When I left federal service as an administrative director for a federal agency to become a full-time author, I vowed not to take up any more causes. I'd had my fill of politics, though I'd learned to dance the dance regardless of which political power ruled. I might not respect the person in power, but I still endeavored to work toward a common public goal. And clearly, a firm trust in the ethics and sincerity of the person in power exponentially increased the odds of success. But in the last decade, the racket has been so loud about the deterioration of the school board's trust that I could no longer tune it out. I started listening. In my own personal need for understanding, I looked up who was on the board, then who had been on the board, what periods of time in my effort to note trends. Was this just a change in the political environment, or were particular persons contributing to this unrest? But I'm not here to point fingers at any individual. I'm here to represent what has turned into an evolving sense of distrust of this board, as I've heard from my many friends, neighbors, and family in the Chapin area. My question is this: what can you, all of you, do as a board to improve your image? There is a fast eroding level of confidence. Whether there is meat to the accusations of fiduciary abuse is not what I wish to address, though those accusations are growing at an incredible pace. What I'm here to say is that your reputation for dismissing the public's concerns, whether in freedom of information requests or here in these open forums, is marring your image and the public's trust. If someone has concerns and you answer them sincerely, in keeping with the law, you earn a vote. You earn a fan. You earn respect. The perception, however, is that this board feels it knows better than the voters what they need. One example that snared my attention was that one member can hold the chair position for an indefinite time. To an outsider, this shows a wariness to embrace all views. Why aren't we rotating this position or limiting the number of times a person can hold the gavel so that more talent and all parts of this district can take a more proactive role? In summation, I am asking, what is the board willing to do to assuage the concerns of the electorate? If we are concerned, ease our concerns. Don't bury the details deeper. If we are upset, meet with us and assure us of what is being done and what can and cannot be done. Instead of perpetuating the reputation as a closed-door, secretive society, please consider that we are all here to make sure that every dime spent, every person hired, and every person elected is utilized for one goal: to educate our children. There are no winners or losers here except for the children. Thank you.
Next year from Ms. Johnny Lovelace. I said thank you, Mr. Sorry. After Ms. Lovelace, we've got Ms. Erin Long Ferguson, Ms. Charlie Wessinger.
Mr. Gant? Oops, y'all hear me? Mr. Gant, members of the board, and Dr. Melton. Most of you've got kids, most of you people, kids probably don't know that I served on the board from 2012 to 2016. And for those 4 years, 2 of those, I served as an officer. With the knowledge as a board insider and as a member of the general public, I believe I have a unique perspective when it comes to the issues such as project budgets. No one wants to see successfully completed projects with quality work on time and in budget more than I. Much of 2008 bond referendum construction included Chapin High School, Chapin Middle School, and the Horse Barn at the Center for Advanced Technology Studies was constructed during my tenure on the board. All 3 of these projects have one thing in common with Meade Elementary School 13 projects. The original budgets provided by the district were all very much understated at the beginning of the projects. This understated budgeting has serious consequences on the projects. At Chapin High School, under budget led to supposed value engineering, which was never approved by the board, and therefore inferior, unspecified materials were installed and ultimately replaced. On Chapin Middle School project, the budget was, again, understated. So much of the wing was deleted from the design that had begun. An excessively expensive second project followed, which was also from the budget. On the horse barn project, design fees and changes were ignored, and the final construction sum, which exceeded the budget by more than 10%, mandated by our own procurement code, and no redesign was ever done, and so again, no vote from the board. The same thing is happening now. I am in disbelief that the board now is under budget in this elementary school at $24 million, approved $30 million and 8% bonds, and now making an effort to tell the public that it's bringing the project in at $29.5 million. That figure does not include, which you talk about D. I'm also going to just add a little bit here. The true project costs, such as was the land, the fees of due diligence, and other land purchase fees and architectural fees. The district has even taken out as contingency to try to make this mirage appear as true. No person in his right mind should believe that you can build a $30 million project without a contingency for unseen circumstances. Tell the people the truth of the project cost, and then go back and design the project within the budget. Please do not spend any more than you can afford. Thank you.
Ferguson, and Charlie Wessinger.
Hello, my name is Erin Long Ferguson, and I'm on Lexington County Council. I represent parts of Chapin, Irmo, and Lexington. I am the only person on Lexington County Council that represents District 5 and District 1. I'm going to provide a timeline so each of you and each taxpayer will know the facts that are important to Amix Ferry School. For an ordinance to be passed, the county requires 3 readings, a public hearing, and a planning commission recommendation, which are all public. January 3rd, 2017, I was sworn into county council. January 15th, 2017, at the strategic planning retreat for county council, I started the process of rezoning Chapin. Later, it was split into multiple ordinances so staff could manage it better. In June 2017, at an event at Saluda Shoals, I approached Ellen Baumgartner and Beth Hutchinson. I mentioned the Amix Ferry land purchase and that I would like to speak with them before the vote because there were things at the county that they need to know about. Of course, they never called to find out what was going on. July 17th, 2017, all board members at the time except Jan Hammond voted for this purchase. On July 25th, 2017, the Amix Ferry, which by the way is like a week later, the Amix Ferry Amendment to Rezone Street Classifications Ordinance was officially adopted, and after 3 readings, a public hearing, a planning commission recommendation, and an unrequired community meeting. The first time Amix Ferry was a scenic corridor was in 2010 as a scenic corridor 2. For anyone on this board to say they did not know that Amix Ferry was a scenic corridor before that land vote in 2017, it simply showed that they did no due diligence regarding this property. In May 2017, I started working on a buffer ordinance that would update the county landscape with open space ordinance. That became a formal ordinance on September 25th, 2018. Again, after 3 readings, et cetera, et cetera. November 7th, 2018, I approached Beth in the voting line at Amix Ferry Road, no less, and said to her again that I was waiting on her to call me and that I would not vote for Ellen Baumgartner, who she was asking me to vote
Ms.
for.
Ferguson, I know you're a county councilman in all due respect, but you heard me read our policies. You're calling out a former board member and you're calling out my current board member.
Okay.
Now, I'd ask you not to do that.
Sir, I agree with you.
Okay.
However, y'all have been doing it to me in public, so I'm setting the
We've
record
not come
straight.
to one of your meetings in public, and I'm telling you,
Okay,
you know our,
sure, that's fine. That's fine. Please add 30
you
seconds
know
to my
our
time.
rules. You know our rules.
Okay. Anyhow, January 28th, 2019 of this year, I went to Dutch Fork Middle and hopefully, just like this, asked for you to work with me on planning. Afterward, I only heard from Ken Lovelace. 4 days later, Beth Carrick told members of the school board in a meeting that we want to work with the district. Recently, she said she had not heard from anyone except Ken Lovelace. February 11th, 2019, the district staff and representatives had their DRN and learned about all the things the board members should have known before they voted in July 2017. This information was clearly presented during that meeting. July 18th, 2019, I was part of a forum in Chapin and warned the public that the landscaping was going to be expensive for this school. Nikki and Kim were both present at that forum. I provide this information to let the taxpayers know that if you had done your due diligence, had you communicated with me or the county, none of this would have been a surprise, which you have publicly communicated. You failed the citizens because you did not do your due diligence. You failed to do your job and now are trying to play innocent, and that is not the case. Those of you who voted for this school site in 2017 exercised your fiduciary responsibility carelessly because not one of you reached out to find out what the county requirements were or would be for this site. Every single item you are currently complaining about was already in process before you voted. You just chose not to know. So in closing, I tell each of you who voted for this school site in 2017, stop acting like you had no idea because you chose to be ignorant. Ignorance is an unacceptable excuse for people in our position. This is just another example of lack of due diligence, just like the Derrick Pond property. Have a good night. And I look forward to having people
Charlie Wessinger. Wessinger?
Thank you, guys. So I came to the meeting not really prepared to say a whole lot, but now I actually have a few things that I do want to say because I'm kind of shocked. I just looked at the deferred maintenance list of schools and how much money they need to be put into them. Harbison West, $28 million. Nursery Road, $28 million. Irmo Middle, $19 million. Irmo High School, $43 million. How did those schools get to be in such bad shape? What happened? So we build new schools. I know there's been rumors and people have made comments that District 5 is in the business of building schools. So when I looked at this list, Harbison West and Nursery Road, I believe, there's replacement costs listed out beside them. So then my question is, are we purposely letting some of these schools just go downhill so we can turn around and build new schools? That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Wessinger. I hear from Mr. Bob Wood.
Thank you, Board, for letting me speak, and thank you for your patience as you listen to all of us. I have just some happy notes today. At Irmo Middle School, we are having a wonderful and great week. On Thursday, there's going to be a Lunch and Learn, Parents University, and this has actually been planned and organized by our own students in the leadership class. There's still time, I think, to get your reservations in if you want to come. Also, I attended this afternoon the Geography Bee, the early stages of it today, and I was really surprised as I walked through Irmo Middle, and there were just meetings all over the place. Teachers with parents, student groups that were studying. There was just so much activity at the school, and all of it was so wonderful and positive and so, can I say, well organized. Everything was just going wonderfully. And so I'm very appreciative of your support for Irmo Middle. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. That concludes our public participation. I wanted to ask, I know we have a lot of students here. I know you're very interested in what's going on. You're welcome to stay, but I know most of you are from a government class, I believe. Is that correct? So, Ms. Goggins, could you help our students? Because last time, I know we're headed to exams, and I know we're headed to homework for tomorrow review. So if you need to leave, I'd like for Ms. Goggins to help you sign your sheet, and we'll let that start going on until we get to the next part of our program, okay? Can you handle that, Ms. Goggins? As that's going on, and it's going on very quietly, applause along with that. And students, you don't have to leave. We'd love for you to stay. I know moms and dads would glad to be here.